What's happening in the marathon world that suddenly everyone is running this fast? How is it possible that in a single morning we saw times that look almost impossible? And why did so many athletes from so many different countries all break their own limits right here? What happened in Valencia doesn't fit what's normal. It doesn't fit logic. And many experts are already asking the question, have we just entered a new era of marathon running? Today, you're going to understand why this race left half the world in shock and what it means for the future of the marathon. Valencia isn't just another marathon. It's the course where impossible things start happening again and again. Athletes come here knowing they can run faster than anywhere else. The almost perfect weather, the flat route, world-class pacers, and surgical-level organization are already famous. But this year, something different happened. The paces weren't just fast. They were unnatural, from another category. And the strangest thing, it wasn't just one or two runners. It was a wave of athletes running harder than they ever had before, as if they all received the same signal at the same moment. Valencia was already special, but what happened on December 7th was the final leap. Joyciline Jepkosgei didn't come to Valencia to participate. She came to rewrite what we thought a marathoner could do. She stopped the clock at 2 hours, 14 minutes. That means running every single kilometer of the 42 at roughly 3:10 per kilometer for over 2 straight hours. To put that in perspective, most runners dream of holding that pace for just 5 kilometers. She held it for a full marathon, and she didn't do it alone. For many kilometers, right beside her, was Olympic champion Korir Jepchirchir. Two titans of the marathon, shoulder to shoulder, giving nothing away. They passed halfway at a time that, for most elites, would already be a great final result. But for them, it was just the halfway point. Neither backed off. Neither showed weakness. 30 kilometers. 35. The pace, insane. The legs heavy, the oxygen thin, but the mind saying, keep going. Until around kilometer 39, something broke. Not in Jepkosgei, but in everyone else. That's when you see who can suffer one level deeper, who can keep pushing when the body begs to stop. Jepkosgei didn't launch an attack. No dramatic move. No exaggerated sprint. She simply refused to slow down. And at that level, that's all it takes to destroy the rest. The impressive part wasn't just the final time. It was the control. It looked like 2:14 wasn't an impossible wall anymore, but a new starting point. And that brings the big question. If a woman can run like this today in Valencia, how far can they go in the next few years? What left experts speechless wasn't only the time. It was how Jepkosgei ran it. Her splits were almost an act of defiance. No drop-offs. No wall. No bad kilometer. A perfectly straight pace line, like something from a lab experiment. While most runners start losing seconds after 30K, she did the opposite. She held. She pushed. She finished stronger than many who race half marathons at that same pace. The wildest part? She didn't sprint at the end. She didn't need to. She just kept running the same. And that was enough to obliterate everyone. Normally, when someone runs an unbelievable time, people say they had a perfect day. Jepkosgei's run didn't look like a perfect day. It looked like a new level, a new phase of women's marathoning. If one athlete can run 2:14 with that kind of control, then the ceiling has just moved, and no one knows where it ends. Korir came to Valencia with one goal, not to win just another marathon, but to leave a mark the world would remember. He stopped the clock at 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 24 seconds. That's dangerously close to the world record pace. And he did it like a surgeon. Up to 25K, everything followed the usual script. Fast rhythm, strong pack, pacers leading the way. Spectators saw a quick race, but still normal. Then, the normal part ended. When the pacers stepped aside, most marathons slowed down. They turned tactical, controlled. Not here. Korir decided that was the moment of truth. Instead of holding back, he pushed harder. He shifted gears like there were 5K left, not 17. That's where the difference lies, between those who compete and those who destroy. One by one, his rivals fell off. Not because they were slow, but because the pace he was setting simply wasn't human anymore. Think about it. In almost any other marathon, the chasers' times would have been enough to win. In Valencia, they were collateral damage. Korir kept pushing, kilometer after kilometer, taking huge risks. At that speed, one mistake and you don't finish. But that's the kind of gamble that separates a great time from a race for history. When he crossed the line, Valencia was just seconds away from seeing the world record fall again. And everyone asked the same question. If one runner can risk that much, surrounded by rivals also flying, what will happen the day everything aligns perfectly? And here's the thing. Korir wasn't the only one who did something extraordinary, because behind him came a wave of impossible times and a cascade of national records nobody expected. What made this edition historic wasn't just the winners. It was the entire elite field. In a single morning, national records fell for countries that have spent years investing in marathoning. Germany, Norway, Japan. Runners who were already fast suddenly looked like they'd jumped to another league. 2:04, 2:05. Times that used to be rare, suddenly everywhere. And it wasn't one isolated record. It was a chain reaction. A domino effect that left coaches, scientists, and analysts asking the same thing. What's happening here? In a normal marathon, one or two athletes have a brilliant day. In Valencia, dozens did. Too many nations. Too many athletes. Too much progress in one morning. When that happens, you have two options. Either it was the perfect race, or we're entering a completely new level of global marathoning. Because if that many people can break their limits on the same course, on the same day, then it's not individual anymore. It's structural. Something is accelerating the evolution of the marathon. And Valencia is the epicenter. After what happened in Valencia, the question isn't if times will drop. It's how much and how soon. The marathon is evolving too fast. Times that were once impossible now happen every season. Records that used to last decades now last months. Athletes aren't just training more. They're training smarter and differently. Kenya remains a factory of rhythm and pain. Ethiopia trains in massive groups where no one leads, forcing everyone to adapt to chaos. Europeans and Japanese are perfecting lactate control and sustained pace precision. And some teams are now blending the best of every system, producing runners who are almost flawless. Add to that modern shoes, better nutrition, and a far more aggressive mindset. Today, elites don't line up to survive the marathon. They line up to break it. Valencia proved that new mindset works. Runners no longer fear risk. They know that on this course, with this organization, this atmosphere, they can do something big. And when many runners believe the same thing at once, the level explodes. What we saw on December 7th wasn't a coincidence. It was the result of a trend that's been building quietly for years. And Valencia made it real. If this is the new baseline, the marathon of the future won't look like the one we knew. It'll be faster, bolder, and far more unpredictable. And what we saw this year is just the beginning. What happened in Valencia won't stay in Valencia. It's a warning for what's coming. The big cities are taking notes. London, Berlin, Chicago, they all know the level is rising faster than anyone expected. And that means one thing. The next races will be more aggressive from the first kilometer. Runners won't wait anymore. They'll strike. They'll attack. They'll test paces that 5 years ago would have been called insane. And here's what's even wilder. The runners who set personal and national records in Valencia, they haven't hit their ceilings yet. Many just discovered they can run faster than they ever believed. That changes confidence. And when a runner believes they can do something extraordinary, they usually do. That's why next year we might see ridiculous debut times, more countries in the fight for big marks, and race paces so high that everyone will be forced to adapt. Valencia wasn't a collective peak. It was a message, a preview, proof that the marathon is entering its wildest era yet. If 2:14 and 2:02 now sound reasonable, imagine what happens when the next generation, trained with these new methods, arrives. The marathon to come won't just be faster. It'll be braver, harsher, more spectacular than ever. What we saw in Valencia wasn't just a race. It was a warning shot for the future of running. 2 times that brushed the edge of the impossible. A flood of personal bests and national records. And a clear message. The marathon isn't moving step by step anymore. It's leaping forward in giant blocks. December 7th made one thing clear. The limits we thought were fixed aren't. The barriers we thought would last forever are falling. And the most exciting part? This is only the beginning. If you want to understand how we got here and why the marathon is exploding so fast, watch my full breakdown of the 10 runners who are changing history. It's right here. Click the video and see what comes after Valencia. Because if this shocked you, you haven't seen anything yet.